Good afternoon again. It's Pop, Dennis Murray. Uh, Once again, I am not getting to this recording until afternoon because it needed a lot of work to prepare. And I had a kind of a crazy morning. Notice I got a haircut. My friend Rose came to my backyard. Everybody wore masks. Social distancing, etc., was violated because she had to stand over my head, but we're all wearing masks, we're outdoors, etc. She cut my hair. I'm very happy. Uh, Rose is a hairstylist at the Uppercut in Crofton, which I strongly recommend. Um, Good things. Also, again, I want today is a Popcast 39, concluding comments on Rediscovery of Awe. And I want to reiterate that it was really startling discovery for me yesterday to realize that he's got type bias in his message, and that quite possibly I may have one in my approach to the experience of all. And like I said yesterday, the first thing that came to me was IDK. I don't know. Do I have a type bias in my approach to all? How can I find out? And I started thinking, I'm going to actually do some reading, and then I'm going to develop a brief query, a couple of questions, and I'm going to ask a lot of people I know to fill out, you know, some comments from themselves of their own thoughts and experiences. And then I'm going to, use the data and reading and come back to you some more information about all. Um, so it's really fabulous to read a book and have something about yourself that needs attention be brought up from the experience of reading the book. So I'm grateful to Schneider. Um, Now, his bias. Um, he's really doing a beautiful description of a wonderful childhood. But it's a childhood that depends on the child being an intuitive. Um, and I'm not sure that he appreciates what the meaning of what he's saying in this sense, in a broader social sense. Nature seems to have created these what I refer to as type differences or different psychological skills um, because it's useful. It's useful in the sense that uh, if we all had equal development of psychological skills, like perceiving facts carefully, stringing together the possible ways the facts might be put into a pattern. Um, if we all were equally skillful, nobody would be highly skilled. And apparently, in nature, if you want to develop high skill, you kind of have to use it a lot and neglect the other skills. Um, so it's a real gift to us to have these differences in the kinds of people we are. And type is just a word for people who have different ways of going about life, different goals, and different ambitions and processes, and who feel somewhat um, normally prefer other people who are more like themselves, and it's quite easy to not be very appreciative of people who are dramatically different from you. It's part of what modern psychology is doing, is teaching us that um, we should be appreciative of these differences. They actually contribute hugely, and I have a small role in trying to bring that point to the attention of the community. Um, so for me, the when you think that only one kind of childhood is ideal, you're missing the appreciation of all these differences, and these different types have ideal childhoods. Children who are open to possibilities are intuitives. Um, but children who are much more oriented to specific facts are also children who grow up to be wonderful members of the community and who will bring that particular skill to the community. So we want an education in which they're given the opportunity to appreciate their gift for facts and to experience it and develop it. And they may, as a result, not be very open to grand possibilities like intuitives are. But that's the way nature seems to have made us, and it doesn't appear to be, a terrible flaw that we need to fix by turning us all into intuitives. It appears to be part of our gifts that we need to notice, appreciate, recognize, and celebrate. And so, I want to develop this in a personal way. My fundamental ideas about living in the middle, change the world. If you want to change the world, we're in an enormously divided moment in our country's history. And really, it seems to infect a good deal of the world's countries. So, if a lot of people would like to have a different situation in the world, less divisiveness, then my notion is, well, you start by changing yourself, and you change yourself by refreshing your experience of awe, and it comes with a sense of connection to others, so you live from that sense, and that's called living in the middle. And I think that not appreciating the other ways of being, aside from being an intuitive, is not good. It's not helpful for living in the middle. And so I recommend this book highly. It's very useful, but look at it from the point of view of this is a person who's an intuitive writing about idealized intuitive childhood. And I'm an intuitive. I had very much the childhood he describes, but I also have a very strong appreciation for all the other types of people in the world who aren't intuitive. And I want to become personal at this point. Um, I have 9 brothers and sisters, most of whom are still alive. And uh, there is every manner of person in that group. Typically, there's some intuitives in a group of that size, and there were me and, some of my brothers and sisters. But there's also people who are very fact-based. There are people who are very much make decisions by a rule book, people that make decisions by personal preferences. There are people who can't wait to make a decision and carry it out, and people who, like me, want to keep thinking and talking and thinking and talking, and it's a little hard to take the trash out because that's got to be done today. Stop the thinking and take the trash out. And so, um, so in my own experience, from growing up in such a large family, my father was an intuitive, my mother was not. Um, don't tell me that we all need to become intuitives, that that's the ideal person, because that's not nature's wisdom. And I think that we are quite wise to pay attention to nature's wisdom. Um, there's a philosophical argument that just because nature has done things this way doesn't mean it's intended, it doesn't mean it's wise, doesn't mean it's the way it ought to be, etc. Um, I don't find that to be um, it isn't very helpful because we live from our psychology, and in our psychology, the gifts that nature has given us, our own lives and each other, and our differences seem like good things and should be valued. And the fact that we can't objectively prove that they're good things, it doesn't really matter because we don't live objectively. We live from our whole psychology, which includes, this sense of awe and gratitude and the energy of hope and the good sense direction to live in relation to each other. So, in that context, a difference is a gift, and nature's wisdom is to be respected and admired. So I've got four children, nine grandchildren, six or seven of whom are paired. Some, there's a relationship that's sort of off and on, but um, um, and I have five great grandchildren and another on the way. And one of my greats is going to be 12 in a few months. And believe me, that's a very interesting young lady to talk to. She's got her own heart, soul, and mind. So, um, my granddaughter Emily, she has a heart as big as a mountain. She's a wonderful, wonderful young mom, young wife. She's been a fabulous granddaughter to me. And um, her other granddad, on her mother's side, and she were just as close could be. And she was very, very sweet and supportive of him. Um, and and this young woman couldn't be more different as far as being an intuitive goes. She lives in a world of facts, um, and she is interested in all kinds of facts that just don't have any interest for me. I mean, she follows the Bachelor TV program. But if there's anybody who you would more like to have as your mom, your sister, your best friend, your wife, your daughter, uh, I don't know who, because she's a kind, warm, loving soul. And if we didn't have Emily, because we didn't want to keep people that weren't intuitives, and we tried really hard to turn her into an intuitive, and we failed. So somehow she has to go live in limbo. It would break the heart of a lot of people. Um, and Mickey and his wife Allison and Mickey's brother Connor. These are Betsy's children, and her third child, Patrick, uh, and Connor's fiancee Laura. The five young people were together in the backyard of Betsy's house last weekend, and a song came on, and all of a sudden, all five of them, it was a 10-year-old rap song. Now, believe me, I got no use for rap music. I'm too old. I don't understand it. I can't even understand most of the words they're saying. You know, I'm still singing the Everly Brothers, Till I Kissed You, and, Wake Up Little Susie. I know the words, like Roy Orbison. What can I say? Rap. Well, these five kids, well, they're not kids, they're in their mid 20s. Mickey and Al have a brand new baby, Lucy, and Connor and Laura, are engaged. But these five young people all burst into this song. They all knew all the words, and they sang their hearts out with joy, with abandon, with just the sheer pleasure of being three brothers together with their intendeds, and with, of course, this lovely baby there on the couch in the backyard, just enjoying herself. Uh, and I thought to myself, these people are so different from each other. All three of Betsy's kids, Connor, Patrick, and Mickey, they're very different people. All of them are incredible souls that just are a joy to my heart. And if you could think that what we need to sift through and just keep the intuitives and put the rest in limbo, you'd not be paying attention to life as it really is. You wouldn't be appreciating nature's gifts of difference as it is. Um, so my concluding remarks on this book are: it's worth your read. But I slowly came to appreciate that what he's describing as an ideal childhood was the kind of childhood I had. I'm an intuitive. I had all the openness you could think of, all the opportunity to explore. I had six older brothers and sisters. My parents had hardly had the time to keep me away from the stove. They were so busy with other stuff. So I got to go wander the neighborhood at will and do all kinds of stuff. That life was sweet. I loved it. And to me, it was ideal, but it was ideal for me. It wouldn't have been, ideal for everyone. And I'm a nice person. I add to the mix of people, but dude, if I had to do without all those other souls in my life that are quite different from me and that I dearly love, it would just, no, I couldn't do it. Wouldn't agree to it. So keep that in mind when you read the book. Okay, he did open one subject, which I'm not going to explore today. I'm going to give another day to, not tomorrow, but soon. This business of attachment theory, which turns out to be really interesting. It's counterbalanced by exploration. So, you need to form attachments, but you have to be open enough that you can explore balance. And that's true for every kind of child in your child raising. So we'll talk about that another day because it looks pretty good. Okay, take care. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.